Boy, has it been a while. We finally caught up on Absolute Batman, Absolute Wonder Woman, and Spider-Man and Wolverine. We caught up on all the stuff we wanted to, and we still have to catch up on Absolute Superman. See, last time on Absolute Superman, Clark and Lois had a bit of an adventure. He did his absolute best to save her life, while her men tried to take both of theirs, because it's very clear they do not give a damn about Lois, but this is still Superman. And despite all of this, she was doing her best to arrest him in all the chaos. This whole adventure, this experience they had together has fundamentally changed Lois, because here in the Absolute Universe, they're not lovers, they are not friends. She works for a company called Lazarus that has a bunch of peacemakers that are absolutely brutal to innocent civilians, but Lois is not like that, as we're about to see at the beginning of this issue, because at the end of the last issue, one of the peacemakers, enraged by the fact that Superman destroyed them and hateful towards the civilians they treat so poorly, decided to take his anger out on those civilians, as it looked like he unloaded his entire clip on a crowd of innocent people. So it's time to find out what happens to this peacemaker, how this experience may have changed Lois, and what's going on with Superman as we learn more about his past and what he's really here to do. So with all that being said, let's get right into it. And we learn a lot about Superman and Lois in the very first page, because she is currently questioning tons of different civilians from different places in the world. India, Botswana, Brazil, Belarus, Mexico, Vietnam, South Africa, a reservation in the US, and even Egypt, asking all of these people information about Superman, as he's done amazing deeds for all of them, done his best to protect them, he's had dinner with them, they know him, at least to some degree. And she tries every way, first asking about his powers, maybe the planet he could be from, even trying to guilt them, letting them know that although he does amazing things for them, it's quite clear he doesn't know how to use these powers just yet, that one day he could hurt someone. She tries every way to get these people to give them anything, but they won't. He's done amazing things for people all over the world. They owe him their loyalty, and they give it without question. But there is one thing Lois notices. Some of these people have wounds. Someone has been hurting them behind the scenes, and she wants to know who. Before all this Superman stuff, she wants to know who's hurting these innocent people. And we find out just who this monster is. It's a peacemaker named Crenshaw, as we go to Lois beating this man half to death. Turns out he likes to torture these civilians just for fun, and Lois is having none of it. Beating him and beating him and beating him with an electric baton, even jamming it in his goddamn mouth. And when he begs for mercy, the one thing she does with that hand he's begging with is break it in half. His peacemaker buddies may not mind him torturing innocent civilians, but Lois, yeah, she doesn't like that at all. And after beating him and breaking him, she places him under arrest. And we see one of the civilians finally give Lois a little information, as just like I said at the beginning of this issue, what happened between her and Superman has fundamentally changed her, as he says, "I know why you ask these questions. I know why you are chasing him, even if you yourself do not. It changes you being in his presence. You feel this now, I can tell. You sleep for many hours, yet still don't want to wake. Because when you sleep, you can see him, yes? Burn into the darkness behind your eyes. Sometimes when you try very hard, you can even feel the sizzle of his dust in the air. You were struck by lightning, Agent Lane, and now you cannot help but chase the storm. I went looking for him as well, after he saved me and my family at the mine." As we see another civilian giving her another piece of information. "After he saved me, I searched for him. Nothing else seemed to make sense, but I couldn't find him." And we get another civilian. "I couldn't find him, and neither will you, because he is a whisper." And another, "A whisper who walks among screams. He sees all, children in cages, families clinging to rafts, grown men weeping on the factory floor. As you say, he is afraid." As the last two civilians give her the story of Superman and what he could become, but not afraid of you. The Superman fears the day Lazarus will drive him to such anger. He cannot help but save this world by killing you all. I pray for this. We all pray for such a thing, in every language, in every slum, across the world. It is why he has come to us, I know. So these people did not give Lois what she wanted. They gave her the story of Superman, how he has touched and changed them, how they pray for his victory. They gave her a warning about the rage building up inside Superman as he continues to witness injustice after injustice. They will not give him up to Lazarus, they will not give him up to Lois. They have placed all of their faith, all of their hope, in Superman. And god damn did I forget how good the writing was in Absolute Superman. You can really see the difference here between OG Superman and this one. The OG, he's as bright as the sun, in front of everybody standing tall, here to help as many people as he can, here to protect the planet. But this Superman, he's like a phantom savior, living amongst the little guy, living in the slums and the impoverished, living amongst the people that need the help the most, and those are the people he focuses on. Those are the people he can connect with. He's lost on this planet just like they are. are. These are his people, and he does everything in his power to protect them. And I just love how they're laying this out in this issue. Now, despite the powerful words, and despite the fact that they're definitely true when it comes to him changing Lois, she's still a bit resistant as she talks to herself, hoping Superman hears her. Your friends were wrong. I'm not chasing the storm, I am the storm, and you can't hide from me forever. So to her, this chase of hers is all part of the job, completely disregarding the way she's fundamentally changed. But we'll see if she can keep that attitude when she actually runs into Superman, as she gets a call from the general. And we quickly see the kind of relationship these two have, as this is not her father in her phone, it simply says the general. And this is more of a hard-ass, no-nonsense kind of character, as he continues to berate Lois on why she doesn't have her security detail and how she's actually handling the Superman search, because in his eyes, there's no way to talk to a man like this. He's heard exactly how powerful Superman is, so the way he sees it, all they should do is drop a bunch of nukes on him, call it a day, and collect their medal. He doesn't give a damn about any of the intricacies of Superman's character. And this gives us some insight as to why Lois is such a hard ass herself. I mean, this is her father. But she lets him know she's learned a lot about Superman, questioned every single person that's been anywhere near him, and although he's caused $1 trillion in damage, he hasn't killed a single person. The way she sees him, he's just some mumbly little hippie boy. But her father lets him know they said the same thing about Charles Manson. And as he continues to bark orders, Lois reminds him, "You're retired, General Lane. Do I need to remind you what that means?" As we pan out and see he has a constant reminder every day. This man is missing his legs. And as Lois realizes what she said, she starts to apologize and she lets her father know she just wants the people to trust her. And they clearly do not trust the Peacemakers for good reason. If she walks around with them, no one will give her answers. It's not like they're giving her answers now, but they'll definitely shut down with the Peacemakers surrounding Lois. And again, I think we get a bit of insight as to why the Peacemakers are this way, as the general is completely fine with them terrorizing citizens. Because back in his day, when he had an engagement officer talking about how trust is better than fear, this officer was kidnapped and killed by a bunch of people called the Omega Men, which could possibly have a tie to Darkseid since Omega is obviously his sign. And because of this, the general does not care about trust. He much rathers fear. It's a whole lot safer for him and his people. And although he's coming down on Lois pretty hard, all he wants is for her to take care of herself. And we learned this torture and murder video of this officer, he showed Lois when she was 12 years old. Quite the relationship these two have. And as he begins to berate her about writing her own report and how the Brainiac system can actually help, she leaves. She's got to get to work and she ends the call. And as we see in the next day, she goes out again and she tells the Peacemakers to stay where they are. So she does not want them around her and she did not listen to her father. As she walks through the city telling herself, "Alright Superman, it's just you and me now, sunshine. Just you and me." As we see a giant letter on the wall saying the Omega Men are coming. And we see some of these Omega Men hiding in the shadows looking at Lois. So she has immediately put herself in harm's way after her father's warning. But you do gotta understand why she doesn't want these absolute monsters surrounding her as a security detail. She would literally get no answers. So in a way, her father and her are both right. And we get a pretty cool reveal. See, we got a bunch of peacemakers, but I was always wondering where the Peacemaker is. Here he is. We find Christopher Smith. He's the one that shot all of those civilians, and surprisingly, he's not really hiding it. He's in this therapy session with the algorithm Brainiac, completely admitting everything, that he opened fire on these people, that he simply missed because his hands were shaking. He was angry. He thought they were laughing on the inside. He was angry at how Superman destroyed them and how these people seemed ungrateful. He's admitting it all, but the Brainiac system is simply not letting him admit it. As it says, yes, you were in shock from the trauma you had endured at the hands of this Superman, and your weapon accidentally discharged in the vicinity of unarmed civilians. Luckily, no one was hurt. No doubt it was your Peacemaker training that prevented any injuries, but he's doing his best with tears in his eyes trying to let them know what really happened. He just missed, and that he was definitely trying to shoot them. And this is where we really understand that this is the Peacemaker. As he says, "I was trained to maintain peace at all costs." All costs. Sometimes I worry that I could do really awful things in the name of buddies cut off. Brainiac understands what you are saying is your gun misfired. It is simply not allowing this clearly unstable man to admit to his crimes. But he still tries to fight against this system. "No, that's not what I'm saying." But Brainiac cuts him off again. "The weapon was defective. It will be recalled and repaired. You will be issued a new rifle." As Christopher pleads to talk to someone real, not some stupid algorithm, which of course is actually Brainiac. And now we see why why Lois really didn't want to use this system. She wanted to tell the truth, which is why she wrote her own report. Because clearly, this is what happens when you try to tell the truth to this algorithm. As it continues to shut Chris down, and it tells him, "You will return to duty immediately. There is an opening in the Organi town detail." And as he begs not to go, it continues. "This concludes your therapy session, Peacemaker Smith. Lazarus thanks you for your service." So Brainiac is beyond corrupt when it comes to these peacemakers, who knows the kinds of things they've admitted, and it simply scrubs it, rewrites the actual events, and sends them right back out to terrorize innocent people. I wouldn't be surprised if Peacemaker is the only one that actually feels some guilt for the terrible thing he tried to do. Or maybe it's even worse. Maybe all the peacemakers have done something this terrible. Maybe they felt guilty at first, and they realized after constantly confessing this stuff that the Brainiac algorithm simply didn't give a damn, and eventually they all became numb to how terrible they really are. Maybe if this Brainiac system wasn't here, they wouldn't be such monsters. But because they do have this algorithm, as unstable as Chris is, he's going right back to do what he did to other civilians. And now, unfortunately for them, he knows he can get away with it. And as he's thinking about what he's done, we see Lois is still being followed by one of the Omega Men, but she gets the drop on him. And with the freckles and red hair, I'm pretty sure this is Jimmy Olsen. It's so crazy how they spread out Clark, Lois, and Jimmy to be on all these opposing sides. If this is Jimmy, but either way, he tries to let her know it's not what she thinks. He's definitely one of the Omega Men, but he is not here to kill her. Lazarus, the people she works for, are completely built on lies, which is fairly obvious so far. And as we see him turn on his little mask, he asks her, has she ever wondered if she's on the right side? And with his tech, he's able to blind Lois, something that'll last for a few minutes. And he believes this ends the fight. He puts a gun on her and he lets her know he just wants to talk. But he's underestimating Lois in her Lazarus training. They trained even to fight blind, still overwhelming him and keeping the gun trained right on him. See, he's trying to let her know that he knows more about her employer than she does, and that she's only been at Lazarus for 3 years after her father's accident. Clearly when he lost his legs. And he thinks maybe by telling her everything he knows, she can stop falling for the propaganda of Lazarus. But there is something he cannot deny, as Lois lets him know, I know not to trust some mass terrorist who butchers in the name of freedom. She knows for the people that don't want to be saved, for the people that don't want to listen, the Omega Men do in fact kill them. So even if Lazarus is bad, how is she supposed to trust the Omega Men? What makes them so much better? But unfortunately, Jimmy has run out of time. He did his best to try and convince her, and now the other Omega Men are here, as he tells Lois to run. So just like how Lois is a bit different from the other Lazarus Corps members, possibly Jimmy is clearly different from the other Omega Men. He does not want to see Lois killed. As Omega Prime starts to open fire on Lois, and he begs them to stop, still believing he can reach her. But they're not hearing that at all, as Lois realizes her father was right. The Omega Men are murderers, and maybe she should have had the Peacemakers with her. And we see the Brainiac system summon some of the Peacemakers to help her out, something she tries to deny. She still doesn't want them there. But they get their alert regardless, and they're coming to help. And with them is Christopher Smith, the Peacemaker, still tweaking out. As they're ready to go help her, and all he's saying is peace at all costs. Peace at all costs. But as he finally snaps out of it, they all start to run to her aid. And we get yet another example of the many examples we already had of how corrupt this Brainiac system is, as she wants non-lethal rounds so that she can capture some of these Omega Men. But like she was told, Lazarus is built on lies, and if she can actually have a one-on-one conversation with one of them, maybe they could even convince her of this. So instead, the Brainiac system says eviscerator rounds. But before she can even fully complain about this dumb system, her gun is destroyed. And the person who destroyed her gun is Omega Prime, who actually likes to be called Primus. So this is Absolute Primus. And as they begin to fight, we learn that this is the person that lopped Lois's father's legs off, as she makes a joke about how he's definitely shorter now than he was last time they met. And as they begin to fight, we see Jimmy interrupting this, pulling a gun. He doesn't even know who he's pointing it at. He just wants everything to stop so they can finally have a conversation. But during this, they're all interrupted again by a red mist, which means you know exactly who's about to jump in. As we see this red mist purposefully missing Lois, pushing the two Omega Men away, because now Primus also knows what's happening. She knows that the Superman is here, as she proceeds to call all other Omegas to her location. And Primus seems to think now that Superman is here, she's got an ally, ready to work together. He's not hearing any of that, gently pushing her aside, as he stands next to Lois, and all he can say to her is, you, stop looking for me. But she just wants to talk. And just just like I figured, that tone she had now that he's around has completely changed. Now she's practically begging for a moment of his time. But all of this is interrupted by the Peacemakers. And the Peacemaker is still very upset at how Superman destroyed them last time. It's the main reason he snapped and nearly killed a bunch of innocent civilians. And this did not make it any better, as he asks Superman, "Do you remember me, pal?" And Clark just tells him, "No," and freezes everybody instantly, once again purposefully missing Lois as he flies off and we see Jimmy taking a picture of Superman. I guess no matter the universe, things do not change all that much. And Lois is pissed. Once again, the Peacemakers ruined everything. Because they showed up, he was once again super dismissive, destroyed them, and left, so she wasn't able to have the conversation she wanted to have. Not only that, but in all the commotion, the Omega Men escaped too. Lois has nothing and has completely failed, and it's all the Peacemakers' fault. But it only gets worse, as the civilians are in fact laughing at the Peacemakers this time, something that he thought he heard the last issue when he nearly killed a bunch of civilians. This entire ordeal is about to make Christopher snap again. But before that happens, we see Primus yelling at Jimmy for failing to kill Lois. But he's not really listening, simply looking at the picture of Superman and letting Primus know that he really believes Lois has a good heart, and that maybe she just needs a little more time to see she's on the wrong side. She needs more time to listen to that little voice in her head trying to guide her to the light. And honestly, it makes me wonder if Jimmy is also talking about himself too. Maybe Lazarus and the Omega Men are both the wrong side. Maybe whatever it is Superman is doing is where they both should be. Because we know after what happened between Clark and Lois, she has completely changed. And now with this meeting, Jimmy seems to be in a trance. It looks like meeting Superman, even for this brief moment, has changed him too. Not everyone who meets Superman changes for the better, as Christopher Smith has lost it, drooling, screaming, raging at what just happened to them. And as the other Peacemakers try and take his gun and get him in shackles, he finally snaps out of it, angry that Superman spit on them, that he dismissed them, that he doesn't even realize what he did in his blind rage. But then it's revealed to us, he murdered all the civilians that were laughing. All of them have been killed by Christopher Smith. And this is not only his fault, but the Brainiac's fault as well. It knew he was unstable, it knew he would snap, and now he has. And innocent lives have been taken. And on top of that, this is where the issue ends, as the next issue is titled The Rage of the Superman. So I do hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm very happy we're back on Absolute Superman, because my god, I forgot how good this shit really was. So I'll catch you guys on issue number 5 to see how Superman takes what Peacemaker has done.